Hey, welcome back, everybody. Delta Phi Wednesdays, Hero Labs. Good to see you. My name is RT. Go by RandomTask 555 on Twitter, and these are my fellows, my fellow crew. How's it going, guys?
What's up?
What's going on? Good to be back.
Yeah, it's my favorite hour of the week. Sometimes 2 hours. How are you doing today, Messiah?
Doing well. How's everybody else?
Feeling good. I personally like to see alts doing a little better in Bitcoin, but other than that, I mean, there's someone aping into Bitcoin the last couple days on Coinbase and spot markets. So someone is gobbling that up. And
I mean, interestingly enough, Ethereum led the current Bitcoin rally. And, now Ethereum has started to consolidate, earlier than Bitcoin as well. I don't really necessarily think that Bitcoin is ready for another leg up here. And it's interesting to see this rally led by Ethereum. That's something that I don't think we've really witnessed recently. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Is Bitcoin going to cool off and Ethereum's going to continue to lead the rally, continue to steal the show, and when that happens, of course, altcoins, I'll take their, they do their thing as well. But is that what's going to happen, or is Bitcoin just going straight to 90K right here? It's a difficult call.
Yeah, we saw a really nice move up on ETH-BTC, which really broke out on the 5th. So I guess whatever that is, like Friday. And, 3 nice days of up, and now it's just been 2 days back. And it looks like a retest. I'll get that chart up here in a minute. That bullish retest could be why ETH's lagging today, obviously. And if that pullback holds at like 32.4, my God, this could be the continuation from the weekly breakout we got like a month and a half ago on ETH-BTC. So that would be hot.
ETH was so relatively weak for a stretch there. I think it all started with like just the high fees. These fees are too damn high, and it kind of like I think it just was a big wet blanket on the ETH-based DeFi and ETH for a stretch after they had gone on, tremendous moves, exponential moves. But I do think that, there's chatter about, these high fees aren't here forever. We got ETH2 chatter. We got Vitalik chatter. We got optimism. So then you start to think, well, how much of that wet blanket, the softness was kind of overdone, and money's going to flow back into that area.
Does ETH become like the great cause? Do you end up like these clans that are battling for dominance within the ETH community? And does it end up like net spreading the ETH community thin?
There could be clan battles. I actually kind of think, EIP 1559, for those of you who aren't familiar, is going to basically change the fee structure on Ethereum. Proposed. I think it's been proposed and sort of approved to go live sometime in July. And that's going to smooth out the fees. So instead of just spikes and all this, there's a bit of a model there. I'd like you guys to check out in the description, actually. We'll put that up. I did a video yesterday on it. There's a really good whiteboard video we'll share. It goes into more detail. But basically, they're going to start burning fees instead of paying them to miners. So there's a deflationary aspect coming in. It's going to smooth out the user process. But miners are not all on board, as you can imagine. Take away my fees? Fuck that. So you can imagine that, I see it like this almost like Bcash fork drama, right? Not that big, but when you get into conversations maybe in April, May, and then there's going to be like, well, this number of miners are not supporting this, so they may choose to do something different. Like, who knows? And it's all going to POS anyways, eventually. So like, what are the miners?
It's like Ethereum's like SegWit, non-SegWit.
Yeah, I think it's bullish short term, and it's kind of what got ETH-BTC waking up, and ETH was leading here, and I do think it'll breathe some new life into it. but then we're going to get into the more nitty gritty about which miners are on which side and how that's going to play out.
At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter, which side the miners think that they're on, because you've got a situation here where a lot of this value that miners are deriving from Ethereum right now is miner extractable value. It's a byproduct of priority gas auction, gas wars, over the multitude of arbitrage opportunities on the Ethereum chain. So at the end of the day, let's say we run into a situation where you've got a group of miners that say, well, we're not going to support EIP 1559. Let's continue mining the non-EIP 1559 fork, and see what happens. Well, all of this DeFi shit, the stuff that's giving this base layer, the amount of value that it has, the very thing that's, making it so that these Ethereum miners are just absolutely making bank, cleaning up. That's all moving to EIP 1559. And now you're going to have a situation to where you've got, this rogue fork that has all of the DeFi stuff on it, that, the EIP 1559 fork does, but has no support, no value. The stable coins aren't redeemable for their US dollar value. So you've really got a situation to where they kind of have to play ball here, which is really interesting. I mean, the thing is EIP 1559, and my understanding, makes the fees more predictable. They're still going to have, gas wars over arbitrage opportunities. It just comes in the form of, now there will be a network gas, recommendation, I think, per
it's
block.
based on the previous block. Yeah. So whatever the previous block was sets the gas for the next block.
And, to get in the block, you're going to have to pay that gas. And then for transaction ordering, you can tip the miners. And that's the way that all of this dark forest,
Wait, talk to me about tipping the miners.
Well, that's the interesting part, because if you can tip them and up your fee to get ahead in the block or whatever, then are we just in the same situation with gas wars? Like,
yeah, we 100% are. I mean, the difference here is that, and this is, of course, a huge point of contention. The difference is that it gives Ethereum a deflationary monetary policy. Whereas in the past, it didn't really have any kind of deflationary mechanism. So, the miners feel like, they're getting cheated here, because part of that money that they would have made is just being burned now. So you've actually got a situation that's interesting.
So the price, so number go up, gas gets more expensive.
Yeah, I mean, well, you've got a more solid. It's more solid.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Policy.
Go to Solana.
Ethereum. But the issue here is that the miners have certain interests. DeFi people have certain interests, and everybody's interests seem to be at odds. So there has to be some form of compromise here. Moving forward, or the miners really are they're gonna have to bend the knee, because at the end of the day, what chain do you think the stable coins are going to support? What chain do you think that the exchanges are going to support? It doesn't matter if they think that they've won and they're not going to support this when, nobody is transacting on or using their chain. Eventually they migrate back over and they accept how things are now.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I hear 60% are sort of not in support, and that just makes me think of forks. But Ethereum Classic is forked like 3 times and it's still around. I can't figure out for the life of me why it's still around, but it is. I don't know anything about it. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. Everyone's like, check out this ETC long. I'm just like,
what does it do?
Twice to the what if hat. I want to do the what does it do hat.
Yeah, it
I
feels
think
like
Litecoin. What Ethereum Classic does is it gets 51% attacked every 3 days.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, we might have ETH Classic 2.0, and there's a little small group. But I think you make a good point. I mean, if the proposal is going ahead and the DeFi and the projects and the general crowd is moving, miners will follow. even though they might put their feet in the sand for the next 2 months, drum up some support for their, counter view. But I don't know. I mean, it definitely breathed new life into it. I was wondering, I was like, what the hell happened to Ethereum? And it was Thursday or Friday. And I just looked and all the articles started circulating around July being this date. And I think that really gives us a nice frame for what we were already talking about, which is, Q2, good for alts, good for ETH, good for crypto. And now we have this July event. And in crypto, traders, we love our events. We love our narratives. And if this is going to be something we can now speculate on for the next few months, what will ETH be like if it's actually not terrible to use?
It's still going to be terrible to use. This does little in the way of improving the user experience, other than creating a better monetary policy.
That's what makes Messiah so amazing, by the way.
Level 2 is where it's at for Ethereum. So if we're in a situation right now to where we have July approaching, I would imagine this EIP situation is top things. Come July, I think we're going to rally into it. As the hype gets more and more apparent, because you're going to have this narrative to where people start looking at Ethereum as more investable, because it is programmable money. It has all of these people using it. It's got a deflationary monetary policy. In the future, it's moving to proof of stake. So you've got all these things going to it. But at the end of the day, right now, I think some of the biggest hype is the Arbitrum mainnet, Optimism mainnet, and then the applications that actually move to those mainnets. I mean, if you look at a lot of this congestion on the Ethereum network right now, it comes primarily from like Uniswap, SushiSwap, because there's so many different markets and so many different arbitrage opportunities created by those markets. So as we start moving to level 2, and I'm not sure how easy that will be bridge wise, or this or that, but as we start moving to level 2, it's going to take a lot of strain off of the Ethereum network, and it's going to allow things that aren't on level 2 to thrive as well. I mean, fuck, at this point, people will pay $10 gas all day. They'll pay $15, $20 gas all day. I mean, the issues that having to pay $80, $100 to stake something is just outrageous.
I do like how you guys talked about the miners and getting tipped. I'll tell you what, it's a good day to be a Bitcoin miner right now. I mean, these guys in Bitcoin mining right now, with where price is trading, there's about 20 billion of profit for the Bitcoin mining community at these levels a year. It's staggering. I mean, it's staggering. The price for these new machines are high. There is tremendous amount of room for hash rate to grow, difficulty to grow, because it's juicy right now.
I wonder what the average production cost of Bitcoin is now.
It's well,
I would also like to know that.
That's
generally like a great, I mean, we always say like the best place to buy value is the cost of production, but that's usually the like peak bear market that it happens. But it's curious because it should be climbing. It was like 5K, 5,200 last year at some point. Hopefully up closer to 10 by now.
Yeah, maybe a little over 10, but
surely it's higher than 10.
It's low, dude.
No, it's really low.
It's really low. I mean, that you can say, is that scary, with commodities and stuff like that? Doesn't it kind of always trend to the cost of production? I think it's difficult for people to get their hands on machines. People are trying, money's flowing in there. And with these levels, price here, and if you can get good electricity costs, it is a fat pitch.
Okay, well, look, I'm going to slide into the background here and get on the screens. For those of you who don't know, I get some weird comments. People are like, who's that guy in the corner? He's not moving very much. That's what we call the scarecrow. When I share screens, I'll slide in there now. And look at this. We've got a cost of production overlay here. Can't quote me on exactly the accuracy, but it is an old indicator that just popped in the head as we were talking. So let's take a look at what it says. And there's your cost of production up to Apparently. Now, I don't know about this because I'm pretty sure we touched cost of production during the bear market, but as of right now, it is stating that it's still like 6,500. So let's see. Bitcoin COP, how accurate is it? Well, I'd love to know. Now I feel underprepared. Maybe we should
Phone a
find
friend.
it. Yeah, phone a friend. Who in the audience? I'd like to ask the audience, actually. Somebody in the audience, if you have a lead on cost of production right now, I know if there's any TRI guys in here, there's a few of you. We talk cost of production all the time over there. So hit us up in the chat. What is the Bitcoin cost of production right now? We want to know. Other than that, I'll tell you what. The trading pit got me onto a coin yesterday. Now, I go in there all the time. We chat, we charts, we talk charts. These are my thoughts on Rook. When Rook is dead, I'd like to load up, and if I get my zone, we'll get my zone. But VSP, Vesper Finance, have you heard of this one yet, Messi? Because I found out about it in the 8 pit.
Yeah, somebody in the 8 pit just said to me, just like added me and said that I need a bag of this.
Yeah, so I went in there yesterday, and there's always like the flavor of the month in there, and I always get nervous when I go in. They're like, "This is the thing we're all buying," but like every other, like certain things, and I'm like, I don't know. But this one I went and looked into because look at this chart, right? So you got your accumulation range, the bubbling up of the buy volume, the breakout yesterday. So just as I got wind of it yesterday, it was kind of like $41. I don't know. And then I drew up this stuff, and then overnight I noticed it just did this perfect tag. Obviously, I don't have limit orders on Uniswap that I use. Should probably set up 1 inch. So I ended up buying more at 41. So I picked up 41 yesterday, missed the dip, picked up 41 today. And then, of course, now that I've got a big bag, I better do some research. So I went flying over to Vesper Finance.
That is how you trade, by the way.
That's it, man. Buy first, ask questions later in this market. And I went and looked it up a bit. I was pretty impressed. There's it's Jeff Garzik company. Again, double check that on Twitter. He does follow them, verified account, all that stuff. So that was enough for me to say, okay, at least the team page looks, accurate and legit. And the staking, token holders can deposit. Revenue generated goes to the buyback VSP from the open market, delivered to staking pool, and the APYs on that VSP deposit is like 800% right now. So I was curious what your thoughts are, guys, because I love this chart. When I see stuff like this, and then the bubbling up of the buy volume, I could just see this thing really flying this next few weeks. Have you looked into it at all, Messi? You're kind of my DeFi guy, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I know that 0xB1 is farming over there. He's providing some of their TVL. I haven't looked into it much, to be honest. Hearing that it's Jeff Garzik's thing, it makes me not want to touch it.
I mean, in that sense, I just figured it's not an anon, it's not a rug pull. I don't know much about him.
He's got a bit of clout, but his other project, Metronome, has done, fuck all for 3 years, and it's continuing to do fuck all. So, I'd be hesitant, personally to fuck with Vesper at all, just because of that, and because of that track record.
Well, I mean, it's tough. I think it's tough to write a guy off. I mean, again, I don't know him at all. And all I wanted to know when I looked at the team page was, are these guys like random icons on a screen, or is this a real person? So I got my answer. Shout out to Jeff Kerdikis, founder of TrustSwap, because his first project up, sadly, did not do very well. It had its pumps, it had its dumps, it kind of just died out a bit. And then he came out with TrustSwap. It's like 850x from its pre-sale, and he's taken over the world. So I'm all about second chances. What do you think, Dan? Did you look into it?
I have not looked into it. I'm all about, other than what we're doing at Hxro, I'm all about like what's going to be next after NFTs, which I think is going to which seems logical. So I'm not saying anything groundbreaking, but I think that Metaverse is going to really have its kind of moment in the sun.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, also curious. What do you mean?
Like someone like Decentraland type projects that like, I think there's going to be this kind of movement towards like, you kind of saw things like Decentraland. I mean, when was that? 2017, when it first spun up. And like it's kind of gone through this like 3-year cycle. It's been really quiet. There's been kind of quiet building, but now you're starting to see more of this like convergence of like where virtual and augmented reality is getting, the technology is getting better. People still like are kind of fucked off with their headsets and whatnot, but there's just way more discussion going on around like how to integrate into Metaverse. And like I've been getting hit up by other projects about like, how do we start introducing trading? Like you're going on chain on Solana, like, going to start having discussions with Star Atlas, for example, of like, how do you start integrating trading into these economies and everything being on chain? Like there's a real opportunity for it. And so it's a little bit out there, but like everything we do is kind of like tip of the spear, right? And things that you thought were fucking crazy, a year and a half ago are now becoming realities. And we're kind of in this moment where you can really start, like, I think people are going to start leaning into this. And especially with what we're seeing with like, with kind of the hype that NFTs have. And I'm not saying, like, I think NFTs are here to stay. And I think that the technology is going to continue to compound, but all technologies this early, and I'll say it again, it's just like, it's Gartner cycle shit. Like you have a moment, you get hype, you get massive price spikes that creates, it's a token flywheel that creates more interest in that sector of, of crypto tech. And then a lot of these things are going to retrace. Like the value of people's NFTs are going to fucking fall 90%, 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like individual, like value as it stands. I mean, there's no.
There you go. And that's just it.
Some of
the bigger projects.
NFT and maybe the last sale of my NFT was, for 100 Ethereum, but that actually having value requires there to be a greater fool out there who's willing to step in and buy that.
It is pure. Early on, it's greater fool theory, but that's okay. Like that's what drives. That's like the basis for, like, especially in crypto, for like kind of what funds the innovation, right? And so with everyone, you got to be okay with it. It's why, like, how many times Bitcoin retraced, 60 to 80%? Like we go back to this over and over again, and we see this in different time frames. But like DeFi summer, amazing up move. A lot of things like retraced 80% of their value, 60, 80% of their value, right? And then look at the advancement. It funded a lot, like a lot of rugs, a lot of noise, but like it was the Wild West, right? And so now you kind of get into this next phase where there's actually like more innovation happening. You get another big move. Like DeFi will lose a lot of it, like as a whole, will lose a lot of value again at some point. Like from this high, I don't know. Could it be from 4 times here? Maybe, but it will go peak to valley like 60 to 80% at some point.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? Because humans, I mean, we're predictable. We're going to overshoot it. We're going to over speculate it. We're going to drive it, whatever it is worth, and it may be worth a hell of a lot more than it's priced at right now. We'll go above, we'll go above that, and we'll have to suffer the drawdown from the highs where it's like, Bitcoin at 500, everyone was pumped, but get Bitcoin to 20,000, and suddenly the 3K hole seems fucking dark. So
that's right, man.
I'm with you on that. Now, like, can we just see, like, what fucking world was I living in back in December? I just pulled up a Sand chart. Sand's another sort of metaverse. And I was like sitting here, I was like, oops, left this ink on the chart. Apparently I had some kind of setup here, and I was thinking this would be a great trade. We have come so far on this shit. It's like a total, this is literally my mindset back last year. Like, ooh, I just love to bang out a 75%er. And we're just into this whole other world now of, let's get some X's on there. Let's get sell half. And that's why I like to sell half on a double.
Holy
because
shit.
then this whole way up, you end up, still in the game. And I have a feeling if I draw a chaos PRZ on here that I'm going to see some pings up ahead. And we got into the 1. So Sand is killing it. Sand is up basically 10x off the December lows of 4 cents, and it's just another one. And these things all started moving together. Mana actually had an old chart at some point of all of them. But what other metaverse ones are there? Somebody just said in the chat, we should pay attention to this chat because every week some hot trade idea comes out of the chat. Tom Fiery says Aug Reality can win tokens. Mana competitor with 10 mil cap. What ticker are you talking about? Mana competitor with 10 mil cap. That's an interesting thought.
Talk to us, Tom.
Hit us up, Tom. Because these are all mirrored. Yeah, like Mana, Sand, and ENJ are basically, and then AXS.
They've all gone parabolic. Yeah.
They've all moved together. And I mean, it was a really sick echo. There was hardly any time to echo. It was more like they just all moved at the exact same time, but they are all mirrored. And so that's a nice basket right now. So if they all cool off and shit the bed for a while, when they wake back up, you can say they'll all move together again. They're now going to be mentally correlated. That's great. Noted. But for this, you know, I would preach caution here. When I see a big push up to a new high and I don't see any volume to back it, that's when I start getting a little uncomfortable. And we saw that, you know, I was thinking about you yesterday, actually, Messi. I was watching you on Shitcoin Church, and it was Badger was the last time I saw that, and it gave me sort of a clue that this was probably the top, because this nice big push came up, and there was the dig launch, and it was all this kind of sell the news potential, and then there was just no fucking volume. But thankfully, you know, we were all over it, and watching this squiggly develop, and it's this squiggly, man. I'm telling you, check back in a month, guys. This is looking good. So no volume on the new highs is generally just a little caution. So OVR, augmented reality. You can buy land in real life, do tasks, and receive OVR tokens, win jackpots, etc. It's really cool and has a ton of room to grow. OVR.
I like these projects. I mean, they're super ambitious. You know, I was listening to the founder of Star Atlas. I was in a clubhouse the other night, and it's just very impressive teams that are building these things. And you know, I think it's one of these things that in the next couple years, you're gonna see like rapid advancement in the technology, and you're gonna start integrating this virtual world into your everyday life, and eventually we're all gonna kind of just humans look like worms. And
what was that Pokemon game? Pokemon Go or whatever it was. I played the shit out of that, whatever that summer was. I loved that, man. Me and my buddies would go out and just walk around and crack a few beers and be like, oh fuck, there's a Pikachu. Smoke a joint. It was great. It was a lot of fun. It was a nice throwback to grade 6, and then, you know, then it got really stupid and boring.
I mean, look at Roblox went public today, right?
Yeah, OVR. In contrast, you can see on this recent high when the daily loads here had more volume. So when I see big spikes up in price and then a massive spike in volume to support it, I don't think top. This looks like it's just getting started. Yeah. Now it's a question of like, okay, well, how can I get in without losing my shirt on week 1, getting chopped up before I see the moon? And that's generally what we reserve this old boy for. The bump chaser zone.
What do you guys think about just getting off the charts for a second?
Yeah.
About tokenized tweets.
Stupid as fuck.
I don't know what's going on with that. I keep seeing people tweet about it, but I don't actually.
You know, right now, what's going on in the NFT space reminds me a lot of how stupid everything got at the end of ICO mania in 2017. I mean,
Urea coin.
Yeah, it's getting fucking unbelievable. You know, I mean, just about every way that these people can think of to, you know, to milk more money out of the people that have made money in the crypto space right now is being done. Like, somebody can come and offer me money for one of my tweets, which, you know, I think is the more legitimate way of doing it. But somebody can come and respond to my tweet and tag some tokenized tweet thing, and now, you know, on that platform at least, they've got my tweet tokenized, and they can sell it. I mean, I just can't imagine being the guy that buys a fucking picture of somebody's tweet. I mean, it's just mind blowing. And then you see, you know, a lot of what's going on right now with these, and this is how you know that just greed is in the air. You know, obviously you've got CryptoPunks, you know, which took a long time to catch on, but there's some OG NFT shit. And they did something really nobody else was doing back then. So, you know, hey, you know, I've got the rare punk, you know, mine doesn't have these traits. Like, I get that, you know, and I understand that. And I think some of these things, you know, while right now I think the premiums are probably a bit high, but some of these things will last. But just like, when you look at DeFi Summer and you look at something that was so successful like YFI, 50% of the new projects that came out were then YFI clones that had some twists on the YFI narrative. And we're seeing that exact same thing right now play out in NFTs, where now, you've got aliens, you've got crypto dudes, crypto bros, you've got fucking, you bastard punks and this and that. And people are legitimately like blowing all of their fucking money on these things. It's really just, it's fucking ridiculous because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if, on this latest new NFT thing launch, it doesn't fucking matter how rare the shit I get is when there's another new mega cool NFT launch that's going to have rare trade NFTs and a bonding curve 3 days from now. And, it's just something that becomes diluted. And we've seen this happen with shitcoins. We are in the process of seeing it happen now with NFTs, but at a certain point, there's thousands of these fucking things, and it doesn't matter how rare it is within a series. The reality is that it's not rare at all. Why is my fucking, waifu that has the rare wings and the rare battle armor, why the fuck is that worth anything? At the end of the day, it's fucking not.
Why does your waifu have battle armor?
And
what does it say about you?
Here's the sad thing about this, is that let's say I come in and I buy a shitcoin and I end up buying the top and I was wrong, right? Well, there's liquidity for me to exit and I can take my L and I can move on and I can survive. But you've got legitimate guys right now that have made a lot of money in DeFi, a lot of money on Bitcoin, that are taking all of these profits and degenning them into, a lot of NFT kind of stuff that's just not fucking ever going to be worth shit. And it's really just disturbing to see because you're literally burning your liquid money. You're literally throwing it away. Like it's never coming back.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you going to dump your bastard punk on? Who the fuck are you going to dump that rare waifu you spent 30 ETH on? Like fucking nobody. Is
that what people are paying for these?
Yeah, dude. People are paying outrageous sums. But the thing is they're not rare at all. There's a new project that has its own rares, with a slight twist coming out every 3 fucking days, it seems like. And at a certain point, this just ends very poorly.
I wonder if Picasso and Monet, if their stuff was looked at as shit at the beginning, as not creative. Is some of this, maybe we don't understand it, us small-minded.
Do we need it? We need like a crypto Gertrude Stein or something.
Here's the thing, right now NFTs
purveyor of NFTs.
NFTs as a space, I think is one of the largest growth areas for crypto.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you can do so much with NFTs. It doesn't just have to be this, right now, like, hey, check out my fucking traits, bro. And my waifu is so rare. Like, look at this. Like, that's where we're at now. Like, and here's the way I see it, throughout the course of history, artists have used several mediums for their work. And we are in the digital age. And, I totally understand that some of these digital artists are at some point, in history, people are going to look back and they will count them among the greats. That's how it always works. So, if I want to buy actual art, and I want to be a patron, that's one thing that I think you could make an argument for. But, at the end of the day, like, you've got an opportunity where there's a lot of money here. This is hot. So people are going to do whatever the fuck they can to separate you from your money now, while you have it. While you're a stupid ape, while you're willing to give them money for nothing. At the end of the day, though, I mean, this is no different than people buying those rare Pepes, or it's no different than people buying pictures of influencer avatars as NFTs. Back in the day, somebody paid $9,000 for a picture of my avatar, which is now worth zero. It's just crazy. But we're gonna learn some hard lessons here. But from this, I think this NFTs are almost kind of in their DeFi summer moment right now.
I think that's the big point. Is this when you can wade through the noise? Is what everyone's doing here is really funding very advanced innovation, right? And so there's definitely plenty of capital that's moving around in this space that's doing it intelligently, and but part of the reward that you get, part of the premium, and part of the hot potato games and stuff, that's the trade-off that you get for the risk that you're taking, that you're buying absolute dog shit. Like somebody goes in and just hey, I want to turn 50,000 into 500,000 and buys a crypto bro NFT. It's on him, right? But if you kind of look at well, what is this project doing? It's to me, CryptoKitties was a great example of it, right? Dapper Labs, everybody behind CryptoKitties, insanely smart team. They kind of really set a tone that has now picked up again. And every cycle you're going to have this, but there is for every 10 bullshit scams that are out there, quick buck, there's going to be that one or two that really are kind of advancing the technology, that are going to kind of be the turtle, or the tortoise, and the tortoise and the hare. And they're actually truly innovating. And so I think as people get smarter with their capital, and kind of as you just become more mature about it, you start to look at it and go well, what is the where does this go in 7 years? What does this look like in 10 years? And I may trade in and out of it, but am I backing something? Am I getting into something that really is kind of potentially changing the world? Or it's something that I can see the next 2 or 3 moves ahead. And how does that, and so when you kind of wade through all the noise, you do really have something that is going to advance the innovation, which I think is pretty fucking cool. So.
I think right now, out of anything, there's a project that I don't own any, my friend Ledger Status does. It's NFTX. And I think that's a really interesting project for the longer term. If you are into NFTs, if you're bullish on the NFT space, because they're actually addressing what, in my opinion, is the key issue behind NFTs, and that's liquidity in the NFT space. I'm not 100% sure how it works, but they've got these NFT indexes, and I believe you can join the NFT index based on whatever your fucking hash mask or this or that is, and then you can be a part of that liquidity. You can use that as liquidity, and then the collection as a whole accrues value as people do that. Liquidity is the biggest issue on NFTs. And back to the topic of artists and stuff like that. I think there's a Beeple auction going on right now that's at the last time I saw $13 million or something like that. People, and I think that's an outrageous markup, but people are speculating that Beeple is one of the greats in the future, of the digital age. So I can understand that, I can get behind that. And because of who this guy is, maybe you're not going to get 13 million, but if you spend $13 million on Beeple's NFT, I would imagine at some point in the future, you will find somebody to buy that from you. And it might not be for 13, but I would imagine you'll be able to source a buyer at some point. And there's even an index, and I'm not quite sure if this is on NFTX or whatever, called B20. And I think that B20 index accumulates and brings liquidity to Beeple NFT assets or something like that. Really interesting though. It's always a good point to, or a good idea to, invest in the shovels whenever there's a huge move. And I think that NFTX is literally investing in the shovels.
Yeah, that was a sick move. Ledger was actually on stream. We were talking about this thing down at like $27 when he came on in January, and I picked up a little. I think he had quite a bag. I think he said it was his main NFT play, but holy shit, sick move right up to $500, and about a 50% pullback now. So we're kind of back into that interest area.
NFTs just in general, I think they have the potential to be the biggest onboarding mechanism for crypto. There's a lot of people who, the Coinbases of the world, the trading of these coins that we sit and obsess over all the time is for a certain ilk. And then there's some people who they just like to collect shit. I was never really a baseball card collector or coin collector or anything.
Stamps.
Yeah, stamps wasn't really in my family, but there were, you had friends' dads, and who had,
I was a big baseball card collector.
Yeah,
I still have them. Like, I got a couple pages of Wade Boggs Topps rookies that are. I'm pretty sure I bought them in high school from somebody that was a fence. So. I hope the guy that where those originated isn't watching. But
it's kind of interesting looking at that NFTX chart. I'm not quite sure what to make of that. It's we see on yesterday's daily, somebody market bought a pretty large amount, and at the following day is interesting because there's no follow through on that. It's just more selling. So yeah. I am wondering, if this is something that, ends up crashing and burning with the NFT space, when that bubble, or at least when this leg of the bubble pops, is this something we're going to be able to scoop for, a much lower price?
Yeah, I mean, it's pump chaser zone until it's not, and then after that, it's down into this reload zone, which is typically where I'd actually rather be buying things because you're just getting a better deal. It's like Dan always says, that 80% peak to valley, and that's down in here. But what you want to see in a pump chaser zone is buyers, and so this big boost volume, although it clearly looks like one buyer, which is harder to take seriously, but that's generally what you want to see there. I would recommend people keep an eye on the big four that we talked a little bit about earlier, and that's AXS, and that's Mana, that's Sand, and that's ENJ, because those are the four, from my view, that led this whole thing. They really broke out, back here. Oh, that's actually a 4 hour.
Is ENJ is that an NFT project?
It's getting NFT sort of categoried. Yeah, I don't know the exact. If it's like, I don't know enough about it, but it's in the NFT. Let's double check, because I counted in NFTs. Samsung, I think something to do with their wallet. Yeah, so
gaming.
Gaming, non-fungible tokens. Yeah, it's the number one on the NFT index on CoinGecko. So they're in the space in some degree, but those four move together, and I'll get them all up here on the chart so we can kind of see it. If they roll over, don't go hunting for the chasers just yet. These should lead. They should lead it up. They should be leading it down. So that would be my leading indicator as far as like when top, and we want to watch that volume. Can't do two things at once. Let me find this fucking chart. Sand. And then Mana. And this is actually a matrix we put out on our Twitter back when it all started. I guess was kind of early January. And so seeing these four break out, and then the idea was, okay, well, let's go check out this, and let's see, NFTs are moving. The big four started moving, so let's go look. We're talking about Rari, we're talking about Shroom, Meme, and it's been a great couple of months kind of on the back of these. But I look up here and I see new highs, and then I look down here at the volume and I don't see new highs. And so that gives me reason to be cautious here as a trader. Obviously, I'm not really buying highs ever, But this is more, again, as a leading indicator of like, what are the other coins going to do now? How far into this particular portion of the rally? Because again, this is, this could be a local top, like you said, DeFi summer, roll back in, retrace, shake out the non-believers, and then we have another leg sometime. But yeah, the lack of volume on this latest high on all these is definitely a pause for me.
Yeah, Mana looks like it has some volume.
Yeah, Mana's probably doing the best out of all these. Still a decline on the latest high for volume. So at that point, if I'm still not sure, I might pull up an indicator template.
Yeah.
And, you can look for divergences. You can find other
reasons. Is there a roadmap on Mana?
I don't know.
Next bull market?
I think it's just a meme of Barry doing something, walking.
None of those charts look like something I'd buy. I mean,
no. So again, as leading indicators, though, they could be like, oh shit, the bull's still on. I'll go find a nice chart on NFTX, pump chaser zone, NFT I showed earlier is kind of breaking out. But yeah, these guys are just more for indicators at this point for me. The party, sadly, this particular leg of it has been missed by my measure.
Yeah, somebody posted Wax in the chat.
Oh, Wax. Yeah.
Wax OG NFT.
Big time.
Yeah, wasn't that around in like 2017?
Yeah, it was super hype in 2017 too. I think they were talking about CSGO skins and shit like that.
Yeah, they actually had like an exchange of real items that was doing real volume.
I just think Wax was, it was ahead of its time. We see that a lot in crypto.
That's what I'm saying about Metaverse. Like, I feel like you saw it early and you're like, no way this makes any sense. Like, this tech is stupid. And then suddenly, like, you have this kind of subsector that's working hard on it. And, whether it's like big MMORPG games or whether it's just like true VR, alternate universe stuff, and like suddenly it starts to resurface, and next thing you know, like you go, holy shit, this is getting real. Wow, we go back on that Wax chart again.
Yeah, Wax has been killing it, and like late. So Wax is chasing here, definitely a couple weeks behind the leaders that we just showed. It was just flat while they were already kind of rallying. Really nice echo pump on Wax, and just coming out of an accumulation range. So again, going back to things we always talk about, does this look like a market top? I mean, not really. Is it a buy zone for me? No. Can I get a pump chaser zone? Can I get a retrace? Maybe throwing back even to this breakout level? Sure. But hard pressed to believe that like this kind of volume coming in after this kind of consolidation. I mean, this is July 2019. I mean, this is like a 2-year rounded bottom. So you're telling me on this first high volume breakout, that's going to be the top? I don't believe it. But I'm a more midterm trader. I can't buy this exact level, but fuck, man, this chart looks good. I
swear I heard once that, Rob, what was the number? Like they did like 400 million in revenue.
Yeah,
in a month. Some ridiculous number, right?
It was odd because it just did not line up with accruing value to the token at the time.
Right.
Like, well, what gives? They're doing real transactional volume, but does owning the token get me anything? So,
and that's what plagued 2017, right? It was a lot of tokens. Maybe there was a cool idea, but there was no real connection between token value accrual and usage of the platform.
Right.
In a lot of cases. Utility token.
Yeah.
Now we're in this world of governance tokens, which could have its issues as well. Like certain things, it's like, I don't know how much value governance will have, but it's funny how things all pivot at the same time. Oh, humans.
Yeah.
Sheep.
Or
sheep.
What are you guys looking at? Like, what's in your bags this week, mate? We're getting up close to the top of the hour. I want to know what's in the bags. Everyone knows what's in my bags. I won't shut up about it. Is ID, and it's just chilling. Another quiet week. I'm actually, this is kind of starting to turn up here on the lower time frames, but I'm not in a rush. In fact, I wouldn't mind another week. Probably rotate one more bag into it at some point. I just likes it. What are you guys looking at?
It's nothing new, really. It's right now, like what you said about ID, it's just kind of a waiting game. I don't think, a lot of people are in a really difficult spot right now. And I always say, if you have good bags and they're strong from a fundamental perspective, and as long as the chart still makes sense, it's just best to kind of wait it out right now. People love to get impatient and sell, great entries and great projects to chase, whatever's hot. But the reality is in these market conditions, like at some point, if you are in something good, your thing is going to be hot too. And you take a lot of risks to, chase something that hasn't moved yet, or, dump something that hasn't moved yet to chase something that's going crazy. What if that thing that's going crazy is just the flavor of the day? And you put yourself in a dangerous position to, sell a good entry, buy a top. Oh, fuck, now I'm down 20%. Then you buy back that initial bag. Then you do it again. At the end of the day, you end up back where you started, but you have 50% less tokens, you thought that you were going to be able to chase everything. What is that? YOP?
Okay, so this is NFY, and it's non-fungible yearn. So it was kind of like an old NFT play of mine. And I bring it up because you mentioned the idea of like chasing, staying in bags, holding. Now, I totally forgot. And this is rare for me. I usually pay too close attention to my bags. I totally forgot I had some of this. I bought it's because I bought a bunch and then I sold most. But at the time I was like, fuck it. I'll hold a little. I think I had like 40 of them. Totally forgot. They were off my portfolio. And then the other day, my buddy randomly was like, yo, NFY just hit $600. And I was like, I recognize that name. Where the fuck do I know that?
That's looking like a pump and dump.
It does. Well, I found it in my wallet and I sold it, and I'm fucking ecstatic. I was like, holy shit, I actually didn't sell the bottom on this one. Nice.
I mean, that should win 100x in
holy shit.
a couple of days. So
this looks like YFL, that YFL, like that craziness from $10 to 2K kind of thing. So I don't know. I'm not staying in that fucking thing. I don't even know what it does, but I was really happy to find a little dust in the wallet. YFL. Look at this. This was like 20 up to
Whatever
2K.
happened to Bill Drummond?
Old Billy boy.
Sure. He spoke with me a month or two ago, and I think that he was working on some kind of new project. I think it had something to do with NFTs, but he's kind of fallen off the map after that. And I haven't touched base with him to see, what he's doing or what's up.
Tell you what is looking good. It's your baby, BNT. I've been watching it very closely.
Yeah, man. Jesus.
I love this. This is one of my favorites out
Man,
there.
first time you mentioned this, everyone just fucking bought a
It was right.
When Messiah talked about it, and he hit me up and said, take a look at this and let me know what you think. I literally in 5 minutes aped.
You got to be quick. Yeah, that's what I always say. If you're going to FOMO early. This is where we were talking about it because, that's why I drew that arrow there. And it was before this big one, though, because I would have drawn the arrow up. So it must have been like mid-Feb, probably our first episode. And it was this. I remembered it was this fucking candle. And I just remember thinking okay, I'll buy the dip. Well, rip my bag. This thing has been moving like a beast. It is flipped. Presumably, this resistance support coming into an EMA tag right now. God, it looks good. Great call on BNT. And by your estimate, I don't think you're looking at a finished trade here, are you?
No, I mean, most models, price BNT, somewhere north of $15. The meme right now is $25. At least the most prevalent meme. But there's something to be said about their model for an AMM, because in direct opposition with something like Sushi Swap, the issue with some of these other AMMs is that sushi holders and the liquidity providers they don't have aligned interests, and they never will. And the reason for that is for sushi holders to say, hey, let's bring value accrual to the sushi token. Well, that value accrual doesn't just fucking come out of nowhere. Guess whose pocket it comes out of? The liquidity providers. So you've got a situation now where people are putting an outrageous, in my opinion, value on sushi. When you look at the chart, there's something fishy going on with that chart. No pun intended. But it does kind of look
Sunday,
like
it's Sunday sushi.
it's making this kind of grindy, like really rounded, toppy looking structure, which can definitely continue. I mean, it just got listed on Coinbase and shit, but it's a little sketchy when you have things like Bancor, to where the liquidity providers are the token holders. And Bancor BNT is liquidity, so it's the only AMM to where the interests of the token holders and the liquidity providers are aligned. And, that gives you some really unique opportunities for value accrual. I mean, the value accrual to the Bancor token is better than anything else out there. So, I definitely think, when we look at that Bitcoin chart and we look at the structure, Bancor is one of the most well-funded teams out there. They had one of the biggest ICOs ever. These guys have hired the best people in the space to do certain things. They've got a fiat on-ramp coming. They've got level 2 with Arbitrum coming. So
that's what I'm saying, man. That's a great example of me of how, like, 2017 funded staying power of a really, solid
Mega
team.
raise.
Like,
what was the raise? Like 400 million, or was that Tezos? There was one that was
it was like 100,000 Ethereum, or something outrageous, 150,000 Ethereum. I'm not quite sure how much of that they still have, but even if they have 10% of it, they have enough funding for years.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see, to see Bancor continue to seize market share, from Uniswap, from SushiSwap, especially if they have fiat on ramps, and then they have, a level 2 situation to where normies can come in and maybe trade using AMM DEX technology, and, it'd be fast, it'd be mega cheap, or really just have this AMM backend that nobody even knows they're using. I mean, it definitely has a lot of.
That's where I think it's going to go.
And the thing is, right now, exchange tokens are hot too. If you look at any exchange token, it's exchanges are hot right now because there's a lot of volume, and that volume drives value to these exchange tokens. So it's going to be really interesting to see, especially with the looming Coinbase IPO and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be interesting to see, how hard some of these exchange tokens run, because from a relative basis, right now, you've got a certain camp. There's a lot of people that are looking at the revenue, the valuation of this Coinbase IPO, and then they're looking at exchange tokens like Bancor, like Sushi, like Uni, some of these decentralized tokens, and they're saying, well, on a relative basis, we can compare our valuation with the valuation of Coinbase itself, based on our value accrual and revenue generation and trading volumes and stuff like that. And then based on that, we're super undervalued. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I think these exchange tokens, and it's always been like this, they're always some of the strongest performers during a bull market because of this.
Yeah, look at FTT. And for everyone watching, I did a little rewatch last week to just get some notes on the viewing experience, and I realized that the chart was a little choppy when it's moving. That's just a function of bandwidth, like in the world. I don't know, whatever it is. I'm not a techie, but shout out to you guys. I apologize. I was just fucking around with this FTT chart so much, and I remembered it's choppy for you guys. So, but yeah, speaking of exchange tokens, FTT just hit all-time highs again. Your boy, SBF, changing the world one sat at a time.
He is an incredible human being.
I want to say I couldn't believe it. I can believe it. I don't know. I keep not expecting, like maybe the same thing to keep happening. I don't know. It just keeps making new highs. I don't know. I've got it staked. So I'm staked on the FTX and can't touch it, even if I wanted to, which I don't. But BNT is setting up a possible second trade here. And that I say second trade, like for guys like me who don't have enough, don't have the long position perhaps they dreamed of. This is a level that was drawn on my chart before, so that means it must be real. We just flipped it. So yeah, so this is kind of like old weekly support, resistance level, support. Well, we just broke through it. So if it holds up here, that could provide an interesting bounce area. Me, I'm always like, how low can I get? Do I want to wait, get this throwback I don't know. There might be a little opportunity here around 12.5 to 14.8. Nice fat window. But I'm going to hunt some BNT because I feel left out of this conversation every week.
Yeah, it's definitely made a big move. At these times when you see a lot of volume, you see a lot of trade. The market is, man, it's active right now. And I look at comps, right? I look at something like Solana, which it's trading, I think, at like a $3.4 billion market cap, fully diluted. It might be double that, like 7. But you see some of the protocols, some of the tokens above it on the list with valuations that are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times that. And like, I wonder what's going on here. What am I missing? Like, do I want to own Cardano at a $37 billion cap, or do I want to own Solana at 1/10 of that? Where I know what Solana is doing. I know that the ecosystem that's being built there, just the activity, the serum, the decentralized stuff, and Sam being behind. Like, what is really going on where Cardano is 10x the cap, and even more. I mean, Polkadot is 10x the cap of Solana. You can rattle off names here. Obviously, Ripple is up there. That's just an enigma wrapped in a mystery. But there's, you got Bitcoin Cash, Stellar. These are all multiples, 3, 4, 5 times valuation. So, to me, I think the play is to stick with your guns on stuff that you see activity, that there's volume, there's real building going on, and that entity, that asset is still vastly underpriced relative to other stuff.
100% agree. And sometimes, like, it's hard for people to believe that you're just early.
Yeah.
You just may have gotten to something early, like the chart didn't set up quite right yet, or the right influencers didn't get a hold of it yet. Like, sometimes you're just early, and that's like that's where you have to have a little bit of conviction and say, like, I see activity on this. I see, like, there's a lot of trending chatter about it, and like,
it's tough.
You're gonna have. This is not a free lunch, right? Like, it's gonna get whipsawed. You're gonna be off sides. You have to add to it, like.
Well, and if you stare at the order book, and if you're staring at a 15-minute chart, or you're watching that, and you'll see huge buys. I mean, all the way up through this dot rally, there was just millions of dollars of people selling it and buying it. And
staring at an order book is fucking suicide.
No, it's terrible. So as a newer trader, if you're in here, fully agree with Dan. You got to have conviction. You got to, and don't think because the rest of the market hasn't seen something, it must not be real. Like Rob pointed out, Solana, by our measure, is undervalued. We talk about it all the time. Somebody in the chat just correctly pointed out that Oxy, OXY, is probably going to push Sol on the 16th. It's probably going to draw some eyes. That's a nice big IEO coming up on FTX. I'll be participating in that. I got, I think you need 50,000 in trade volume over 30 days. Buy one Bitcoin, sell one Bitcoin, done. Whatever. Like, it's not impossible to reach that. It sounds like a big number, but it's an in-out of 25K. And then you got to hold some FTT, stake it. I think that's about it, KYC. But yeah, I'm pumped for Oxy, and that's the kind of thing, and then if that does really well, that's going to draw speculators. They're going to get, Solana wallets. But it is important to really spot what you consider value and then fucking stick to it.
Yeah.
Because the market will catch up, and it'll blow your mind sometimes. And then when you are the early one, there's no better feeling.
You're going to hate yourself even more for not taking that trade and wearing it if you don't have it on when it goes.
Yeah. And is there any greater feeling, right, than putting an idea out there? And this is what I love about trading, building a position. Nobody's really listening to it. And then maybe a month or two later, somebody else is running around shilling your bag at 10x what you got it into, telling the story that you new, and that's why you bought it, and someone else starts telling it, singing it from the rooftops,
Like
and you're
Nexus
just like,
Earth and
you just sit back, you're like, yes, shill my bag, sir.
Yeah.
It's an amazing feeling. And you can't have that feeling if you don't, get in on some dips, get in on some dead zones, get into some reload zones when it's all quiet. And maybe that's what's going to happen with me and ID. Maybe not. We'll find out. I don't know.
And I'll also say, I know Messi brought up sushi with context to Bancor, and he just thinks it's underpriced. I'll say that while Bancor is at that like very, very low level of relative price and relative value against a lot of other DeFi tokens, like Bancor's in the bottom, which makes it a good buy. Sushi also is there relative to other stuff. And the one thing that I wouldn't rule out is this Coinbase listing. And, people seem to trend towards meme stuff. And you look at people like in the stock market buying this GameStop. That thing is all of a sudden, again, 5x in the last couple of weeks because it's not because it's worth a lot. It's really almost a meme.
Oh God!
And
look at that.
Insane. I know. So I just wouldn't rule out sushi on Coinbase, and if we get some flow, some real retail pickup, which I don't know if it's going to happen. I think that there could be some upside there relative to everything else, because I do think it's traded at a discount. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes there, but it does seem like in terms of updates, in terms of stuff that's going on, I know that they're integrating with Solana for some stuff. Like they are doing things, and relative to some of the other tokens, it's not as inflated based on their transaction volume and stuff. But
it still has more value.
The Contango's like 10%.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Uni token. There's zero value accrual or zero reason for its existence. At least right now. And kind of the joke with Uni is that there really is no governance, because the people that have the actual power to influence a vote are so few and have so much power that there's really no utility or no rhyme or reason behind having that Uni token. Yet Uni has this absurd valuation, relative to sushi, relative to Bancor. Maybe it's not that sushi and Bancor are underpriced. Maybe it's that Uni is significantly overpriced. Uniswap does have that, even though they weren't technically a first mover, and they have that mind share, and that they're the first AMM to really capture significant liquidity, significant volume. Uniswap is like the Kleenex of the AMM world. If nobody asks for a soft tissue to wipe my nose with, it's give me a fucking Kleenex. And
yep.
Uniswap is the same thing. So it is going to be interesting to watch that play out, and to see what happens with the Uni situation. Do they somehow, some way manage to continue to monopolize the AMM space to a certain extent? Or
I had a different feeling about the coming from Messi. I was thinking about Kleenex being Uni is what you wipe your ass with when you're out of toilet paper.
No.
Well, you made a good point about the comps that Rob talked about. You better hope when you're looking, just say it's Solana and then up at ADA, and you're saying, well, they're not, that doesn't add up. You just want to hope that your coin moves up to fill that gap versus maybe the other coin is overvalued. Like you said, Uni, maybe we're all drawing comparisons to Uni and chasing it. Well, meanwhile, it's just super fucking overvalued right now. And that's kind of what happened with Ethereum in 2017. The ICOs drove it to the moon, everything chased it, and then they went, oh, fuck. And ETH crashed and everything just collapsed.
Well, listen, for people out there who are in jurisdictions non-US who can use derivatives exchanges, there are plays you can make based on relative value. I mean, you can take a short out on Uni, and you can take a long position of equal value in something that you think is undervalued relative to it. And you need to obviously manage that trade, because things can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. So things can blow out even more. Uni can rally to $50, and all these others that we think have better value can stay put. But there are ways to take advantage of some of those mispricings. The one thing I would say is that more than ever, one of the legs of this spread can blow out for no rhyme or reason. So it is something that you have to closely monitor and be experienced to play. But there are plays out there, and there's something I mentioned last week. You can look for kind of what you think would be there's no sure thing out there, no sure plays, but a high probability event. We had the Avalanche unlock that took place, I think March 9th at midnight, at the start of March 9th. And it played out kind of how I think was an easy play to anticipate, where it was kind of under pressure until the unlock. The unlock happened. Whoever dumped it, and it just fucking sprang right back.
Oh yeah,
and rallied like a beast. And that was, like, to me, a high probability trade you can make. And it doesn't take that many of those. You don't always have to be in a position. You can look for some of these events that you feel you have positive EV. You've got better than 50-50 chance on. You got 60-40, 70-30, and you can take it. And that's kind of what I would advise is, it's a market where opportunities are popping up everywhere. Yeah. There's so many names, there's so many charts that, like, get into one where you think you got a 70% chance of being right. Fuck the 50-50 stuff. Like, it's, that's not the play.
Or take 50-50 if you think you're gonna make 10-1 on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 50-50 risk reward with a nice 10-1 target. Like, shout out to Jonesy though. He tweeted us out today. He said, "Hey, when I watched the stream last week, somebody talked about the AVAX unlock. They gave us a date. They said this might be an interesting trade, a nice dump to pick up." And apparently he traded it like a pro and made a little bank. So shout out to you, Jonesy. I know you've been one of the OGs on this stream since back in the summer. And what a sick sweep of the lows, though. Like, even on a technical level, that was an interesting little move. And what was it, Saturday night at midnight? I mean, doesn't it seem like some of the best stuff happens over the weekends?
Yeah, well, was it Sunday? I think it was when the calendar turned to either the 8th or the 9th. It was
7 p.m. on the 8th, according to this chart. 7 p.m. my time, so it'd be like 6 or 5 p.m.
Yeah, so that's 00 UTC on the 9th.
God, and what a little drip of alpha, man. That's the kind of shit you don't see on charts and you don't see on Twitter too often.
Yeah, and those events, they happen, but they don't happen that often. You got to kind of wait. But we know, like, let's mark our calendars. There's one in 3 months for Avalanche. Like, there's the third unlock. So, I mean,
hey Siri, remind me to buy Avalanche in less.
Yeah. Well, you never know. They don't always happen this way, but it's just something where if it lines up with a level you're looking at on the chart where it sweeps the low, like, you can actually get an even better look if it aligns with your other analysis. So.
Well, here was an interesting one in Solana. Now, we tracked this really closely. I mean, there was always talk through, Q4 about, Solana, there's a big unlock coming. And then it actually kind of dumped into that event, getting everyone nice and short. Yeah, I'm so sure we're going to 5x the supply. That's going to dump. And then, lo and behold, right on the dump day, like, to the moment. And it's kind of sick. You got to think someone's having a laugh there. They're like, maybe a certain somebody that's like, yeah, dump my coin. You're gonna short my coin? Let's put $2 billion behind it.
Right.
And they all got nuked.
Well, let's think about it. Solana at that point was like $2 and it went under $2. So it's 7x right now, and it's 7x now it's a $3.5 billion cap. So we're saying it was $500 million, like 500 million cap, with other shit that was trading much higher, like it was
about $500 million.
Yeah. So then you're like, okay, it's all lining up. Multiple things are lining up in my corner. I think I got a really good shot here. Let's wait for the unlock and let's get in on that, the the knee-jerk dump, and then let's go in. So
it was almost like so priced in at that point, right? And I think that's an important consideration when you want to play these kinds of events where you're going to basically trade based on anticipation of wallet movements or unlocks. How many people know about it? And the entire world was talking about the Solana supply expansion, don't touch it. And so you get the dump into the event, sell the rumor, buy the news. And it goes both ways, right? We all talk about buy the rumor, sell the news. It does go both ways. And then on AVAX, I think it was a lesser known event. I don't
unless
think
you were
anyone was
tuned
talking
into
about it. Unless
DeltaFi.
you're here on DeltaFi. Yeah. No, it's like I'm telling you guys, if Rob Levy speaks, pretty much if anyone on this panel, any of these three guys right here, if any of these guys tell you a little drip, I listen. So
yeah, it definitely look for those events. Look for those events. That I feel like there's still crypto. It's why we're here, right? I mean, it's still very much fragmented. Like you can do some research and you can do some digging and you can find an edge for yourself. Like 100%, you can. So that's why we're here. That's why we're not trading the bonds. Like
I think one of the hardest parts is waiting in between, recognizing when you actually have the edge and actually waiting for it instead of just seeing things move all day, every day and wanting to get into something. And I have that problem like anyone else does. Like I'll just be fucking trading, but then a big like great trade will come along and I'm like, ooh, there's the one. I'm like, why don't I wait for these? Why don't we wait for those high probability? That's the toughest part. How much money do you give back between good trades? That's basically it.
Yeah, no, it is. You don't always have to be in something, but
social media would suggest otherwise. That's the danger of it. You got to have your plan before you go on Twitter.
Yeah, I want to know what you guys think. Doge? You think we're going to see another pump out of that? I mean, it's held. It's the 15th highest valued crypto right now. It's kind of held this 5.5 cent level. Are we going to see a little more action out of this, or do we think this is going to kind of just flatten out? Even if it does, if this flattens out here at 5 cents, that's a level people would have died for 6 months ago. So
I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't like Doge, and it's not because I'm a hater. It's like Litecoin. I just don't get it. I've never traded it, but holy shit, 2,000% off the lows. I'm not the best guy to talk about Doge. I've missed every pump it's ever had because I don't know. I think I'm just a snob. I love dogs though. What do you guys think? Who's trading Doge here? Do we have to ask the audience? Who's going to phone a friend?
No, I'm not trading it.
I don't trade it. I've owned it. I bought it and sold it maybe twice.
Yeah, I think I have too. Not on these big pumps, just in the chop where I lose money.
You know, a chart I'd like to see, because you brought it up, RT, was Matic. I mean, you were so bang on that one. It was scary. That Matic was also in this latest announcement of Coinbase listing, which this is the funny thing. We knew Matic was going to be listed on Coinbase. I mean, Coinbase Ventures it's known that they're a big investor in Matic. So we kind of known when Coinbase for this thing. But whereas usually that big event happens, the announcement, and you get maybe a sell the news type of thing, that shit just freaked and went another like 40% after the announcement yesterday. And it actually, like, this is what was kind of weird for me with sushi was I would have thought, the sushi on Coinbase, I think was much less expected than the Matic one, but Matic outperformed by a multiple on the announcement. So, my gut tells me we could potentially see like a sell the news on Matic and maybe some strength out of sushi on the actual Coinbase listing, but it's not a bet I would make with one against the other. I just like Matic to me was kind of setting up for a classic sell the news, but man,
because it would be more known, right? It's like what we talked about. There was a little more anticipation on that, perhaps.
Yeah, but that thing just continued to just rip yesterday.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I did close the rest of my Matic position yesterday. I just, chaos level 2. This is one that we were talking about trading, low 100s. We had it on DeltaFi as my shill of the week here at 200, and it's been a great trade. And I want more, but I'm going to get more cheaper if I can, because this is just, if you don't close the trade, you can't make any money. So it's been a good one, but I am out of Matic, and I hope you're right. I hope it actually gets listed and it just cools off for a bit, cleans up the chart, and because I'm really bullish on Polygon. I mean, what they're doing over there, their L2, their quick swap, they've got a lot of cool stuff going on Matic, partnering with a ton. I think they're going to be around. But as a trader, I got to, sell the highs, buy the dips. So we'll see.
For sure.
Shills of the week, boys. We're getting it. It's 420. So happy 420 to all the stoners out there. What are we shilling this week? I think BNT is in your wheelhouse still. We talked about BNT today, Messiah.
BNT, I think Rook is a fantastic buy here. There's the sentiment on Rook is just outrageously bad right now for whatever reason. So that's typically moments like that end up being really nice buys, and coupled with where it's at percentage drawdown wise, price wise, I think it's an excellent entry. But for me, it's like I said earlier, I'm playing the waiting game right here. I've got my bags, and I think they're good bags. So we're gonna let time tell if I was right or if I was wrong.
Messi, is there anything with Rook on? Let's say we get the L2s, we get fees coming down. Does Rook lose any luster if that happens? Is there some misconception here? Is that why it's under pressure? I'm just trying to think about what could, besides just normal people rotating out of bags, but
people discount just how much still is going to happen on level 1. Level 1 has higher security than level 2. Big money will still trade on level 1. Big money will still lend on level 1. If anything, with level 2, it increases MEV. It allows more people to trade. There's more opportunities. So I don't see, level 2 or EIP 1559 or really anything like that as being bearish for Rook. It is a narrative that's been perpetrated recently, but it's this is nothing fucking new. It's just that the price is going down and people are pointing fingers.
Yeah.
Which is typically what happens. It's when something pops like crazy, people point fingers too. Oh, it's because of this. It's because of that.
People love their narratives.
It's just
and they think there's a reason, right? It's been going up so long because it's bullish and it's going to be so great. Now it's going down. What changed? And I think Rob nailed it. Nothing changed. And I look at this chart. I'm like, this is standard price action. This could not be more standard. I mean, you can already see it as a fractal, right? Came out, nice little rally, chill out, shake it out. This is human psychology painted on the chart. We talk about it all the time. And if you learn how to spot charts and you learn how to trade, and that's who you want to be in this world, there was a lot of signs on this that it just like, oh, cool, that was a great rally. Project's still strong. Let's get it cheaper.
Yeah.
Take it, take profit. And I wrote what I wrote on here is really just, that's my wish list. If it's going to come in here, it is in a little like lower time frame RLZ here. Is it going to hold? I don't know. Buy volume is starting to tick up, so very well could. I know you pointed out in your chart, Messi, you got a really nice support level in here. So if that happens, we get a little breakout. Cool, I can trade that. But my wish list is like a drippy little, like basically this. I don't know. I don't expect it to last this long. We're in a bit more of a velocity market right now, but I want my Rook back. I miss it. I'm just not quite ready.
I'd like to see a bounce to 600 or so. And then I think we could either further consolidate or accelerate. It's just a matter of when. I don't know. Maybe it does fucking sit here sideways and drive everybody nuts. For the rest of March. It's who knows. But the good news is right now with your Rook, you can be a liquidity provider, and if you are a longer term holder, you can get fees and rewards and stuff like that on your Rook.
Yeah. How about Gunny, we were talking. I don't know if we talked about it last week, but Alpha. We've got a question in the chat about Alpha.
Yeah.
And John,
I dumped it.
what's up?
Oh shit! So did I. Damn it, Gunny. That's good though because I bought it because of you. Turns out we both shadow dumped it. I still have a bag, but not as
It'll
big.
probably be good, but I dumped it because I just have been my head has been too deep in hero building. So having something on that I felt like I had to babysit other than like good core positions at this point, I didn't think was the smartest way to be trading. So
Yeah.
I just shed it. I have a pretty balanced book otherwise right now of things that I really have long-term, thinking about long-term. And, I think the opportunity for me and for our community is not me being long alpha.
Yeah.
So.
I will tell you, I own it. I own the spot. I got a Etherscan wallet alert from a big fund that I follow that was aping into it. So I bought it then. And then I had some confluence because another big DeFi analyst who's top notch in the space, he was telling me that they were adding more alpha. They know the team. They're intimately familiar with them, and he loved it. So I bought a spot bag. I'm not really trading it. One of the guys just was kidding with me. He said, see you at $5. So whatever. I've got an alpha bag. Average price maybe $1.25, $1.30. We'll see what happens. We'll see if it gets that $5 target that this one guy was talking about. But
I think there's just opportunities in the options markets right now.
Yeah.
If you're able to access those, things that we see on Hxro, like Rob, you and I have been talking quite a bit about just the implied volatility curves of Bitcoin and Ethereum, both like the tails of stuff that is like down, 2+ standard deviations from the at the monies are like they're super steep right now.
Yeah.
And so they're rich. And so you're getting like kind of crazy yields in these deep out of the money strikes. So, if you're anticipating a continuation of upside, there's probably good opportunity in like, kind of volatility harvesting. And I think trades like that are really valuable right now. And, we don't have time to do it today, but Rob and I, we were speaking quite a bit just about like the value of locking your funds up to capture that yield on something that maybe you're getting, like on Hxro, that Lynx Wix, was paying, what's it paying right now? Like the June 25th settlement.
Yeah, it was the $6 strike at some point.
$6 strike is, yes, for 100 days of carry, you're getting, at one point you were getting 40+%, like not APY, it's 40% raw yield for that period.
Yep.
So you're getting, something closer to 160% effective. And so like, it's telling me that, if you go look at the volatility smiles of Bitcoin and Ethereum, the wings are just super steep right now. So either market's got it mispriced, or they think something's going to happen, like where if we get a correction that, you're going to start seeing big selling, or you're going to see some parabolic move to the upside, but the way the market's got it right now, it definitely looks jumpy, like it's expecting one big, a big move one way or the other sometime soon.
What the hell? So hold on a second, because I just went cross-eyed when you started talking options, and now I'm back. And I just looked at this because you did tweet this out the other day, and I was like, okay, so June 25th, I am betting, because I had no idea the context. I actually didn't know the price of Link at the time, but the Link is $29.
Dude,
So you're telling me that just for it to not wick $8 in the next couple months, I can make a 43%?
yeah.
No, more than that.
So
Yeah.
like, where's 8? See, because this is, and then
Are
I
you in
got
the
to go
June?
to
Scroll down to the scroll down. Oh, that's the $8 strike. Yeah, so it's trading
Yeah.
$30. It's $22 sell off.
It's a $22 sell off. So,
So
I mean, just for
60% down.
context, I guess, and then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drop my fib. I'm going to see if that's like below this whole range. So
Probably
I mean,
chaos level
that's
2.
scary. It's almost like the options market is pricing in a massive dump.
I mean, if this was like the short-term interest rate market and that was Brevin Howard doing that, like I would be cautious because there's probably some level of information asymmetry, or they're expecting something down the curve that we're not seeing. But yeah, it definitely looks odd.
So it does. I mean, this is why, I sometimes I just go searching through those options sheets on there because like, yeah, you find some weird shit where I'm just like, well, I disagree. That doesn't make any sense. That gives us all this time. I gotta be honest. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the possibility that alts are done for now, that Bitcoin is possibly going to break out, and it's just going to, we just had a nice rally, and that's possible. I'm just going to put that out there. I was thinking about it today. Like, Bitcoin is moving up strong here. Alts generally don't just perform an entire fucking bull market. They have their death waves. Maybe we're going to get that. Maybe, but even then, if Bitcoin's moving up, I don't see Link just suddenly being worth $8. Anyways, might have to go right here live. I'm just gonna put an old dusty hundo in, start my position. I like it because that's how we do it. I build a position on no.
You just don't want to see that lower high on the longer term charts. I'm honestly watching that more than anything right now.
Yeah, well, maybe we should wrap with that in mind. I mean, I'll be honest. This doesn't exude a ton of confidence to me as a trader. Like when you see sort of like an M top market structure fail, bearish retest, like that's a put a fork in it for now for me. But we're gonna get $8 in 3 months. I don't know, but I'm putting $100 on it.
Well, here's the thing. Also, if you're a long-term believer in Link, I mean, the old saying, if you like it at 30, you're gonna love it at 8. If you're a long-term believer, then you could take this. It's not going to touch 8 before June 25th, and you could put a bid in there at $8.10 and say, you know what? If it wicks down there in some V sort of just a real wick, then I'm going to own a shit ton of Link down there. And that is one way to use these sort of options. So it's yeah.
Look, I think we need to have this conversation because last week there was a lot of people, or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, oh my God, was the top in. There's a lot of cope, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration and confusion. And during those dumps, and Dan, we've talked about this on stream, like all we always say is like, look, if there's going to be a top in the market, it's going to be, there will be a retest of the highs.
Right.
You're not just going to be, oh, it's a bull, oh, it's a bear. Like you're going to have an argument somewhere here between the bulls and the bears. And we are in that zone right now. So today feels great because we're rallying. But don't lose sight of your feelings 2 weeks ago. If you were sitting here 2 weeks ago regretting all your life choices, thinking, holy shit, I should have sold this, and you were like, I screwed myself over. Like, have a real good chat with yourself right now, because this is either pre-continuation, which is, to be honest, where I'm kind of leaning, even if we just pull back and then go. But if this was, let's just be dickheads for a sec. If this was the top of the whole fucking thing for now, this is where that decision is made. So just be aware of that, guys.
I totally agree. And that's what I'm saying, like, that you can learn so much by looking at these options, because, and hopefully, if you're looking at it through like Hxro, for example, you can really get a general idea of like, wow, it's like they're paying me this much to hold this for 100 days, like that it has to go all the way here to actually be out of the money. Like it can be treated as a tool. Like you don't even need to trade on it per se, as much as like looking at it as a tool of like, what is the market telling you? Like, are like these wings are so, both the call and the put wings are so steep that like what it's telling you is that the market is jumpy. It's expecting something.
It's telling us there's a 70% probability that Link will touch $8 sometime before the end of June, and that's a fucking, you know, that's an interesting.
No.
Yeah, that's what that is. 69 cents to touch. Oh, to not touch. Oh
Not
my
touch.
God, not touch.
Yeah, but still, it's a 30% chance that it will.
It's
Yeah.
Which,
You
like,
know,
like,
so, yeah.
okay, is that the true? Is that real, or is that a knock-on effect of like the volatility in the wings of the, you know, of like Bitcoin and Ethereum, for example, just being super steep, and like
It's both. It is vol itself is high, right? At the money vol in Ethereum, like for June right now, at the money vol is, you know, the offer is 116%. So the midpoint of at the money vol is 115. The puts down there are 125% bid. These are elevated levels for any market. And then you couple that with the idea of there's a shortage of risk capital in crypto in general, especially during these types of markets. Like the risk-free rate, you know, people are paying 100% annualized to borrow Tether.
yeah, the last 2 days on FTX, they're paying 100% annualized to lend. You can lend out at 100% basically.
Yeah. So what's that telling you? If people are being paid ridiculous interest rates for risk-free stuff, that means they really need to be paid a lot more to take risky stuff. So it's really a function of the system itself. When the risk-free rate is juicy, like it is in crypto right now, and it's kind of the only place on earth where it is that juicy. Like the risk-free rate in traditional finance is like, it's garbage right now. You know, it's 0% interest rates everywhere. It's super low. So when you get like juicy risk-free rates in crypto, that means that the risky stuff it should trade off the boards, because why take risk if I'm going to get 50% annualized on risk-free stuff? So it's not that surprising, but it also means that volatility is expected. So, you know, there is a wide range of potential outcomes. And it also means that, you know, go look and see what this risk rate is that you're buying or selling, and compare it to what else exists elsewhere.
That's a real important element of like measuring your trade-off of if you need to park your money somewhere, what are you getting relative to keeping it working, and can I get better yield somewhere? And then like the second element of that is how much risk is that capital being exposed to relative to what you're getting, and then kind of putting all of that together will determine where your optimal play is.
Yep.
Well, guys, I just wanted to say, you know, we've been going for an hour and 40 minutes now. If you are watching and you have enjoyed our show, please hit that thumbs up under the YouTube video. You know, if you think that we're a bunch of assholes, hit the thumbs down button. But we will find you. You don't want that.
We always do.
We will find you. While you're at it, you know, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to our Hero Labs channel. You know, we have Shitcoin Church. We've got all of RandomTask stuff on the Hero Labs channel. There's a ton of content for you to get in there and consume. You know, whether that be educational or for laws or whatever. So make sure to subscribe to our channel. Do you guys have any closing thoughts?
Well, just, you know, I feel somebody in the channel just goes, it sounds like he's bearish on the market, sir. And I guess I should clarify with an actual camera here. Hello, I'm back. You know, it's more just like if you were bullish at the local top, like back, you know, whatever, 2 weeks ago, and then you were bearish on the big dump and you're selling all your shit and you're making, you know, and then now you're like, I'm going to buy back. You're doing it wrong. and you need to like zoom out and start really thinking ahead about some trading stuff. If you're just sitting feeling bearish, bullish, cool. But if you're taking actions on bearish days to chop yourself up, step back, paper trade, learn this shit. And all I'm saying right now is I'm leaning towards a breakout, but I'm not buying right here. I'll just leave it at that. Can't tell what anyone else should do, but it's just such a good looking market, guys. But manage risk, play from strength, all that good stuff. Final thoughts.
I think this market's been thrown. It's been thrown some heaters lately. I mean, we went through some events that could have taken things a lot lower. I mean, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust trading at a $10,000 discount to spot Bitcoin. That was not a comfortable situation. It didn't make me feel warm and fuzzy about things in general. I always thought like it's not a good look for Grayscale and for Barry Silbert's enterprise value. I couldn't imagine a time where he would let that last for so long. And this morning we saw that Grayscale is going to be buying back $250 million worth of the GBTC in the open market, which was, I expected it because, as a brand, Grayscale, how are you going to tell people come buy our GBTC and then watch it trade at a 15-18% discount to Bitcoin? It's like, what the fuck? But that had people, I'm telling you, the Telegram rooms, the chats, the DMs were flying. What do you think about this? What's going on? Is this thing about to create, or is someone blowing out? Is this BlockFi? Is this like it was? People were talking, and I think some of the cooler heads who really were intimately familiar with things, they definitely said, no, I mean, a party or two could get hurt here, but I don't think this is going to be, a real cataclysmic event. That was something that, it pressured the market a bit, but it could have been a lot worse, in my opinion. I think some people were preparing for a lot worse too, which led to the sell-off. But also in the macro scene, we saw a blip on interest rates in the US. The 10-year really, it moved higher aggressively last week. The Dixie, the dollar index, rallied to a point where it was close to a breakout. So like that stuff theoretically was all bearish for risk assets and for Bitcoin. And it really hung in there, and it actually reversed and showed strength quicker than the traditional equities and the the legacy market. So I do think that it could have been worse, but there is money flowing into Bitcoin and crypto right now in a big way. I do not see that turning off anytime soon. I think it's only going to increase. So I am feeling pretty good here with how things shaped up after, getting thrown a good amount of, not necessarily positive events at us.
Yeah, and it's getting volatile up here at the 15-minute chart in ETH, and that's what you're going to see up in these short reload zones, the long reload zones. You're going to just see chop. That's the debate. That's the argument that we keep talking about that happens up around these retests of the highs. So if it's causing you stress, I'd say zoom out, stick to your plans. Matt, Jones, Heisenberg, Scott, LK, Kingsley, all the guys in the chat, ladies too. We see you. We appreciate you. Thanks for joining us today on DeltaFi. I'll be back on Friday solo for Hero Labs Live, and you can catch us in the trading pit. Link is in the description. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and whatever you do, always play from a position of strength. Take care.